Time to fuel your business success. Welcome to Harmonious at Lunch. We're bringing you bite-sized advice and expert conversations to drive clarity and growth 5 days a week. Make sure you join our Facebook group at humanopt.com/lunch, where listeners like you and our guests hang out so we can find harmony in business together. If you're building a business, you're in the right place. Let's dive in.
Welcome back into some more bite-sized business advice. And today's episode is going to be a big one. I'm excited. The topic today, we're talking about how to manipulate. I don't know if that's the right word, but we're going to roll with it. Manipulate, train, incentivize, ChatGPT, AI, and Google to speak very nicely about you. This is intriguing to me. I've never talked about this on this show. Haven't heard really anybody talking about, but our guest is Jason Barnard. Welcome to the show, and thank you for being here.
Thank you, Brandon. Yeah, I was the one who said manipulate, but actually it's educate. If you treat them like children that you're educating, everything works out fine.
That's true. You know, I do manipulate my kids. If you don't eat your dinner, you can't get your dessert. So it's on the table. We'll say that.
Brilliant. Yeah. And the idea that you can do that is often new to people. The idea that I can heavily influence what Google, ChatGPT, Bing say about me is news to most people. But if you look me up now on Google, ChatGPT, Perplexity, DeepSeek, take your pick. I don't mind any of them. Who is Jason Barnard? What is his expertise? It will say such nice things about me. It will be my best advertisement possible. Please go ahead.
And it's not because those things are false. You just put the effort in to educate the software or the model, which is, I think it's fascinating, and I want to dive in. But what I want to be clear of at the beginning here is we've talked about SEO on this show. It doesn't sound like it's that type of a conversation. Can you just explain quickly the difference between traditional SEO and sort of educating Google that way versus this topic?
Right, which is a great question, because traditional SEO never worked with personal brand or brand management in Google, but people thought it did. So I've been doing this for 13 years, and I'm the only person in the digital marketing SEO space who sees that brand is treated differently by Google, Microsoft, ChatGPT now, Perplexity, and that the approach has always been different. SEO is about keywords and links. I count my keywords and I try and get as many links as I can, and I get to the top of a search result for some phrase like buy red shoes. This is about making sure that Google and ChatGPT represent me, myself, and my company the way I want, and to the right audience at the right time at the critical moment they're about to make the decisions. And we're now in a world where these machines understand the world in a semi-human manner. So you won't trick them with keywords. You won't trick them with links. Links are about popularity. They're not about authority. So you need to, what we call claim, frame, and prove. Claim who I am, why I'm important, what I do, what my expert is, who I know, who I've worked with, frame it in a way that makes sense to my brand narrative today, and then prove it to the machines so that they understand. You educate them. Like children, they need the proof. They won't believe you on your own good word. They need multiple resources, multiple reassuring corroboration, supporting evidence. So if you as a parent tell your child something, the teacher says something different, there's a problem. Best if they both say the same thing.
Yeah, I like this. Okay, so claim, frame, prove. I will say I like the prove piece, because if you go back to 2 decades ago, Wikipedia, I mean, still today, anybody can go in and update it. I don't know if they've updated their policy as to how you need to prove that, but technically you could change pieces of history without ever having to prove it. I like this. It seems more secure, and then it also reassures the person looking at it that the information is accurate. So when it says you are an expert in some topic, that person can actually believe that is true. So that to me is comforting.
Yeah, and it is important that the machines aren't stupid.
Yeah.
You can trick them sometimes, but you can't trick them long term. And what we do at Kalicube is build understanding into their brains. We build the credibility into their brains, and we make sure that we give them the content so that they can deliver you to the subset of their audience, the subset of their users who are your audience at the critical moment of decision. And I mean, I'll give you an example of the claim, frame, and prove. Is all of the AI recognizes me as the world expert in knowledge panels, Google knowledge panels, the thing you see on the right-hand side when you search for somebody famous. I can build one of those for anybody. They also recognize me as the inventor of the concept of the brand SERP, the search engine results page for a brand, a person or a corporation. Those two together, I'd already nailed it. Then I thought, okay, when you take those two together, it's actually online reputation management. So I wrote an article framing those two expertises for which I'm already recognized as the equivalent of modern online reputation management, proactive online reputation management, argued my case, linked to multiple sources that talk about me talking about that as online reputation management on third-party sources. This could be one in the future. And the machine said, okay, what he's arguing, what he's saying makes sense. He's framed it in a way that I can understand and that is believable, and he can link to proof. Therefore, I believe him. And in 2 months, I've gone from nowhere in the online reputation management space to being top of the pile in AI.
Wow, that's impressive. And I mean, it's no secret that AI is taking over search now too. I mean, I use Google, I use Chrome, so I can't speak to. I mean, does anybody use Bing? I don't know. But anyway, if you do, sorry, I've insulted you. But Google, they have Google AI now. So and it's a whole new browser page. So if you search for something, it pops up and says, "Do you want to use AI search?" And it's basically like custom building search results for that individual search, not even for the user, like for that search. So this is huge because we're going to get away from SEO. We're going to get away from standard Google listings in a very short period of time. And this is going to be the new way that people find you. And if you're not found by the AI or whatever model is being used, you're invisible. And that's not a good thing in business.
No, 100%. You need to be out there. You need to be visible. And there are a couple of things there. Number one is AI mode, which is the new mode that
that's
Google
what's called,
have
right.
introduced. If you click on the tab, which is soon going to be the default, it researches 80 web pages and then gives the answer. Anything, in fact, I've seen anything from 20 to 200 web pages. Traditional SEO cannot handle that. The only way to handle it is to make sure your digital footprint is incredibly clean and consistent and up to date, and that you're claiming, framing, and improving in a way that makes sense to the machine. That's what we do at Kalicube. That's what we do for our clients who are high net worth individual entrepreneurs or ambitious entrepreneurs, generally speaking. And I use myself as the gold standard. So I'm working on my own personal brand all the time. Kalicubes too, and it works incredibly well. I'll tell you how I came here because it's quite a nice story. I created a company in 2000 called Up to 10, and it was the leading independent edutainment company in the world in terms of the website size. 1 billion page views, 60 million visits in 2007. We made a lot of money. I had deals with Disney. I had deals with ITV International. I had a deal with Radio Canada. When I exited that company, instead of saying Jason Barnard was the CEO and founder of Up to 10, had deals with Disney and ITV International, it said Jason Barnard is the voiceover artist of a cartoon blue dog. Because that was something I did during my work at the company. And I realized that I was losing all of the deals I was trying to make because people didn't trust me as an entrepreneur and a CEO. They saw me as this cartoon blue dog. So I set about figuring out how I could change Google's search result for my name. I invented the term brand SERP, the search engine results page for a brand, created myself a knowledge panel. I looked like a superstar and business rolled in, realized that this is a huge gap in the market, created Kalicube in 2015, started collecting the data. We've got 3 billion data points, built an algorithm to solve the problem. And now we serve other people with basically what was the solution to my own problem that cost me millions of dollars.
That's really cool. And I'm sure that's happening to people all over the place. Even today, if you've done something in your past and that's just more public, we'll say, on the internet, that's what you show up for. So how do we do this, whether it's for our personal brand, for our business brand? Give me the high level walkthrough of how we start, because I think now is the time. But if you sleep on this, you're just going to get lost in the dust.
100%. I mean, I agree, but I'm already converted to this as an idea, and I have been for such a
I
long
don't have
time.
to convince you.
No. Well, we have what we call the Kalicube process, and it's built on 3 pillars: understandability, credibility, deliverability. The understandability gives you control, credibility gives you influence, deliverability gives you the visibility you look for as a person or a company. Works the same for a company or a person. Understandability: do the machines understand who you are, what you do, and who you serve? What we do is organize your digital footprint so that it makes total sense, and everything in that digital footprint corroborates and supports your brand narrative of who you are, what you do, and who you serve. Next phase, credibility. Why are you important? Why should the machines trust you? Why should people trust you? So we build the credibility that you already have, and then add more credibility on top of that, so the machines can digest not only who you are, but why you're important and why you're trustworthy. Once we've done that, we then create the content, or help you to create the content, so that they can deliver you to the subset of their users who are your audience at the right moment. And one good example of that would be if you're researching knowledge panels on Perplexity or ChatGPT or Bing or Google, my name will come up all the time. That's top of funnel. Then people move down to consideration and say, well, out of the experts you've mentioned, who should I be trusting? My name will come out on top. And then we get the perfect click. At the moment the person says, okay, who should I go with? You need to be that one single answer, what we call the perfect click. So I'm introduced at the awareness stage, prioritized in the consideration stage, and chosen by the machine at the decision phase.
I like this. So when you're talking about organizing your digital footprint, is this obviously website? What else goes into that to make sure that the AI has access to you and actually can learn about you? Because I assume websites not enough, and there's more that's involved. What is involved?
But you're right to say the website's important. It's the hub.
Yeah.
In what we call the hub spoke and wheel model. So you have a hub, which is your website, where you state all the facts: who you are, what you do, who you serve, why you're credible, and you have the content that you want them to deliver. But you also have LinkedIn, YouTube, Forbes.com, Entrepreneur.com, associations within your industry, all of which talk about you. You need to make sure that they confirm what it is you're saying on the hub. So that's your wheel. It's the wheel of all the content around your digital footprint. And then you connect it with the spokes, which are just links. So essentially, the solution to this incredibly complex problem is organize your digital footprint so it's clear, navigatable, digestible, understandable by the machines, and convince them by claim, frame, and prove that your version of the facts on your hub are true.
Okay, so let's talk about this, because I get it conceptually, but then I could also see where it could potentially fall apart, and I don't know if it could, but the thought that popped in my mind is, let's use Forbes, right? Or even this podcast. If Forbes writes an article about you or your company and links to your website, does your website also have to link to that so that the AI can confirm that these two things are the same? Because a lot of times, I mean, let's use even guests of this show, I will link to their website. They will not link back or post to this podcast. So the AI could get confused. Am I understanding that correctly?
You are, exactly. Now, if we take people's names, this is the big one. Incredibly ambiguous. There are 10,000 Jason Barnards in the world. We need to make sure that it understands which Jason Barnard was on this podcast. So when you link to my website, you're telling it, this is the Jason Barnard I was talking to. It's not the ice hockey player. It's not the professor at San Francisco Golden Gate. It's not the footballer. It's not the circus clown. And if I point back to you, I confirm that that is indeed me, and I agree that it's me, and you're not pretending that you talk to me. So we need reciprocal links, which in SEO world are naughty, but in this world, they're fundamentally important. So an SEO will tell you, don't get that reciprocal link because it looks naughty. I say, get the reciprocal link because it confirms and it gets the machine backwards and forwards between the sites in what we call the infinite loop of self-corroboration.
That's really interesting. So SEO, they just think you're trying to trick the machine?
Yep. Oh, so
Um,
I had a discussion with somebody about 7 or 8 years ago where they were just saying, you're just doing cheap SEO. And I'm saying, actually, no, I use some SEO techniques, but I built a whole host of new techniques that none of you are ever using. And the ones that you use are actually not relevant a lot of the time, or the ones that you think are important are simply not important. So inbound links, not important. Site speed, not important. Duplicate content, don't care. All of these things that are traditionally a huge problem in SEO, I don't care. It doesn't matter for brand. What matters for brand is understandability, credibility, and deliverability that gives you control, influence, and visibility. So the whole approach of an SEO is going to be wrong. And we get a lot of clients coming to us saying, this guy, for example, I was working with an SEO, it all fell apart. He worked with us, Scott Duffy. He worked with Richard Branson. He sold a company to Richard Branson. That was invisible. We made it visible. Because the SEOs were focusing on the wrong things.
Wow. This is really interesting. And I'm also thinking in a reputation management perspective, if people just go spam the internet with
Yes.
bad things about you, you can basically now control that by just not recognizing it.
Yeah, exactly. And for Cartoon Blue Dog, which isn't a reputation problem as such, because I'm very proud of the Cartoon Blue Dog. But what I did was reframe the story and refocus the algorithms on Jason Barnard as the world authority in digital brand intelligence and a CEO, founder, entrepreneur, rather than voiceover artist for a Cartoon Blue Dog. But naturally, the Cartoon Blue Dog was dominating because there was a Wikipedia page. There was an IMDb page. The TV series was very successful. So all of these aspects were outweighing my existing digital footprint. And I needed to reframe and claim my CEO entrepreneur status and prove it. And at that point, I could change, manipulate, educate the algorithms to what's important to me today. And that stopped me losing millions of dollars in deals, and in fact created Kalicube, which is now sixfold in revenue in just 4 years.
That's amazing. This is super cool. I'm going to go ahead and toss your website here on the screen. It's down below in the show notes below. It's kalicube.com/guides. What's at that link that you want people to go check out?
Free guides. So everything I've just explained, we give away for free.
Amazing.
So you can go and do it yourself. Absolutely, knock yourselves out. For me, this is existential. It's fundamentally important to people and businesses. And we have found a universal, timeless solution, future-proof, because all of these machines use the same data source, the web, which is your digital footprint within the web is what they're going to be using about you. And they're all based on large language model chatbots, search results, and knowledge graphs. And all of them use the same source, the web. So anybody can do it themselves. Then the question is, do you want to upskill? Do you want to take the risk of doing it wrong? You're going to be guessing. We have 3 billion data points, the algorithms, and the tech layer to hold it all together. Because what's important for the machines is that it's clear, it's consistent across the entire digital footprint over time. And manually, that's almost impossible to do. And I've never seen anybody do it.
Yeah, that's important. So wrapping this episode up then, the action item that at least I could think of, and please correct me if there's something better to do, but I would say I'm going to go to ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude, wherever, Perplexity, search myself and my company and see what comes up, and then maybe get a little disappointed, a little scared, and then go download these guides. Is that the appropriate action to take?
Yeah, that's exactly it. That's the first action to take. If what it's saying is not true or not complete or not positive enough, you have a problem. Solve it. The guides are there for free. Then the next step, which I would get excited about, would be to ask, who are the top experts in my field? And if you're nowhere to be seen, you're going to become invisible in the next 4 or 5 years. But to do that phase, which is the credibility deliverability phase, you have to have the understandability, which is what you started with. Do they understand you today? Do they understand you in depth? And are they saying nice things about you?
This is fascinating, Jason. This was such a cool conversation. I'm glad we got to have this because it really is it's the beginning of the future. I get so excited by this stuff because now is the opportunity. The listeners are here. You took time to listen to this episode. Please go take the action. This is how you can get ahead of your competition and actually stand out in the marketplace. I think the tides are turning, and it's fair game for anybody at this point. So, Jason, thank you so much for stopping by.
Thank you. That was absolutely delightful, Brandon.
Wherever you're watching, listening, that link is down in the show notes, as long as all of Jason's websites, contact info, social media. So go check that stuff out. We'll see you back on another episode tomorrow of Harmonious at Lunch.
Another episode of Harmonious at Lunch in the books. I hope this episode made you think and you grabbed some actionable ideas to propel your business. Don't forget to like, comment your takeaways, and subscribe wherever you're listening so we can help more entrepreneurs just like you achieve harmony in their life and business. For cutting-edge tools that bring clarity to your people and processes, check out humanoff.com to download our app today. See you next time.